Hi everyone, I'm Marilyn from MissImp in Nottingham, and today I'm going to be showing you a couple of exercises using your surroundings to inspire your physicality. You can then use this as a starting point for creating characters or scene work. There are a couple of things to bear in mind before you start. First of all, this is a physical workshop, so please warm up appropriately beforehand. You know what your body needs, but we do have a really nice, simple warm-up that our friend Lucy videoed for us. So if you scroll down, you should be able to find it here. And the second thing is to make sure that you have enough space around you while you're doing these exercises, because I don't want you to damage yourself, other people, or the things around you. Now, one of the things that you do have to bear in mind when you're doing any of these kind of physical exercises is that you look after yourself and you make sure that you're not in any pain or discomfort. If at any point doing these exercises you think, oh, that's a bit uncomfortable, or oh, that really hurts, just stop, because this is improv and it's meant to be fun. For this exercise, you're going to need 3 objects of different heights. I've chosen this set of shelves just because they're all in the same place and they have very obvious lines on them, so you can see which height all 3 of them are. And I've done that mainly so that you can see what I'm doing very clearly. Now, the object of this exercise is to use your body to get to these different heights that are marked out by the objects behind you. So it may be for you that you've chosen a sofa as the lowest height, a chest of drawers as the middle height, and the top of a door frame as the highest height. And we're going to start going from top to bottom and just exploring different ways we can use our bodies to reach those different heights. So one of the obvious things for getting up higher is to stand up on your toes like this, which is fun, but it's actually quite difficult to sustain, so it's not something that I would choose for a scene that's going to go on for a long period of time. Other ways that you can get up higher are by using your arms. So you can lift up your arms, you can use one arm or both arms, and if I just measure where this is with the top of these shelves, then you've got 2 arms up here. So the next question I have is, why are your arms up here like this? Is it something to do with the character, or is it something to do with the situation that you're in? It could be that you're manacled to a wall, so you're a prisoner in a dungeon. Or if you've got one hand up and you raise one leg, it might be because you're a flamingo. Or you could have one arm up, you could be a dinosaur or an ostrich, or you could be holding on to something up here. You could, for all I know, be hanging off the edge of a building. If you are doing something which is meant to suggest that you're not actually on the ground at the time, you can always stand up on your toes and rock back on your heels so it looks like you're swinging from something. So you could do that if you're swinging from the edge of a bridge, or holding onto a vine because you're Tarzan, or any idea that you come up with, you can just add a little bit more movement into, and it creates that sense of a world a little bit more. Also, you could be standing like this and you could be moving because there are people that we can't see who just keep bumping past you because you're on the tube and it's rush hour and you're standing quite close to the doors and people are just fighting to get around you. But just by thinking about why it is that you're in this particular position, you can create different scenes and you can create different characters. Okay, now we're going to move on to the middle position, which is here where this shelf is. And because I'm average height, it's not much of a stretch for me to get my head to this height. I can literally just duck my head. But if you listen to my voice while I'm doing that, you can hear the effect that it has on my voice because it tightens everything up in my throat and my neck. So it's always worth bearing in mind what your body position is going to do with your voice. So whether you're going to have to project any louder, or if you're going to have to breathe more deeply in order to be able to project and things like that. Other options that you have, and this is something that we often forget about in improv, because I don't know about any other teams or groups around the world, but in MissImp we are very guilty of doing what we refer to as number 11 scenes, which is where you have 2 people standing opposite each other just talking, so you look like the number 11. But even if you're just changing your body posture slightly, you can change the stage picture by how you choose to use your body. So as well as the ducking your head like this, you can bend more at the shoulders, so you end up with more of a curved back. And you might be standing like that because you're carrying something very heavy, or it could be a character choice, like if you're playing Igor from Young Frankenstein, or a character like that who is always hunched over. The other options that you have include bending at the knees. So if you're bending at the knees with your knees pointing outwards like this, it may be you're doing that because you're a ballerina and you're at the bar and you're doing your daily warm-up or something like that whilst having a conversation with someone else, and doing something that just involves a little bit of movement here in the lower body means that you stay in control of your voice and you don't have to change it, and you can carry on having that conversation while just doing occasional gentle pliés without hurting yourself. Other options that you have for this are, if I turn to the side, if you bend at the knees like this and then stick your bottom out, this will again affect your voice because it is reducing the amount of movement in your diaphragm here. But if you do this, the thing that it makes me think of most is a duck, because I can only take small steps doing this. I can't take very large steps, so it's automatically making me waddle, which makes me want to bring my arms up here. So I've got wings, and I can just be a duck, and I'm doing whatever it is ducks do. You're going for a walk to the lake, taking some seed off an old lady, planning a bank robbery, whatever it is that your specific type of duck does. Now, we're going to move on to the final level, or this shelf to be precise. Now, getting down to this height is always going to be more difficult, particularly if you're tall. And if you are tall, there are ways to make yourself a little shorter if you feel that your height is getting in the way. So you can always bend slightly at the knees, slightly at the hips, slightly at the shoulders, and it will give you a slightly slouched position, but it will make you appear smaller on stage. This is obviously a problem that I have never had myself. However, getting down to this height means that you're going to have to do bigger movements, and you're going to have to hold those movements for a lot longer. So for this, we've got quite a lot of different options. So again, you can bend at the waist, and you could just be someone whose whole thing is, oh, I only like to see things at this level. So, you could be someone who surveys everything. But again, in order to be visible to the audience and in order to be audible to the audience, you are going to have to poke your head up like that, which may affect your voice. Other options that you have for getting down to this height. So we've done the bending here. You can always be someone who has one shoulder higher than the other as well, which will give you make you a little bit more open here and make it a little easier to talk. And it could be that because your back is bent, your arms are just loose and they just swing free of their own accord, and it gives you lots of nice ideas for different types of characters. We're also, again, you can do bending at the knees. You can do the ultimate bending of the knees, which is being on your knees. Now for me, because I have managed to mess up my knees through sport and acting, is something that I know I can't sustain for very long, so this isn't something that I would choose. But it could mean that you start a scene and you come on like this, and it could be that you're praying, or you've dropped something under the sofa, so you're rooting around trying to find that object. And then if you put yourself in that kind of position, for example, it's very unlikely you're going to be praying for hours and hours unless you're playing a penitent or a monk or a nun. Then that's very much your choice. And if this feels comfortable for you, just stick with it. That's absolutely fine. But if you are just rooting around looking for that thing under the sofa, it does mean that you can then get up once it starts to be uncomfortable for you.
For this exercise, you just need some space and a bit of imagination. The aim of the exercise is to find as many ways as possible to move from point A to point B. The bigger the space you have, the better, because it will give you a chance to really play around and develop that movement. Try as many different ways of moving as possible. You can vary the length of your stride, your speed. You can use all the previous work that we did on posture and creating different levels. So you might be up on your tiptoes or hunched over or walking on your knuckles. You can dance, you can skip, you can hop, you can do pretty much anything you want to do, as long as you are physically capable of it and you can do it safely. You may even decide that you don't want to use your feet and you want to roll everywhere. You can also vary your routes. You don't have to go straight from point A to point B. You can take as many detours as you like, and I'm only doing it because I have limited space. When you find something interesting or fun, take time to explore it. See if you can figure out how someone who walks or moves in that particular way might dance or do something like the washing up. Once you have a good sense of how it feels to move like this person, try giving them a name. Think about how they might speak and give them a voice. Think about what they might be interested in and what they might talk about. Does their physicality match their words and their thoughts, or is it a contrast? Think about whether the movement suggests an emotion to you. Is this person hurrying because they're feeling anxious or excited? Are they trudging because they're sad? Knowing where a character is coming from or where they're going to can also affect your physicality and your emotional state. There's a big difference between coming from an unsuccessful job interview or a successful one. I realise that we've covered a lot of information in a very short period of time, but hopefully you've come out of this with some good ideas on how to approach a character through physicality.
One of the easiest ways to find out what you're physically capable of is just to gently test your body every so often. So you might have a few minutes every now and then where you think, oh, there was that scene that I wanted to do and I wanted to be that kind of character, and you can just play around and find out how that sort of character would move. Thank you so much for watching and continuing to support improv in the UK. If you enjoyed what you've seen, please take a look at our other videos. Check out our website at missimp.co.uk or find us on social media. If you've done this session and you really want to do more improv and you want to do it near you, go to Google and put in the name of your town or city and the word improv, and you should be able to find some stuff there. Thanks for watching.